Supply chain business network platforms have changed the game for supply chain visibility, especially when you talk about the industry wide supply chain visibility. So, which are the top 10 supply chain business network platforms in 2024? That's what we're going to discuss in this video. So, let's take a look.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP supply chain digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with the enterprise transformation, supply chain strategy, enterprise technology selection, implementation, as well as change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be top 10 supply chain business network platforms in 2024. So, when you look at the networks overall, for the most part, most companies are not going to find, or they will not be shopping for business networks. There might be possibility that some companies may look for networks if they are looking for newer suppliers, but for the most part these platforms are going to be relevant when you are looking for end-to-end supply chain traceability. They are going to be slightly more technical capabilities enabled as part of the platform, but understanding that will help you how these platforms are different and what capabilities they might have internally. These supply chain business network is what is going to be your, let's say, if you look at forecasting accuracy overall from the demand planning perspective, or if you look at the algorithms that are going to be produced by the external data or the quality of external data, that is all provided by these supply chain business network platforms. So we published this list in 2023 as well. So as such, you are not going to notice any major changes. The way we define supply chain business network platforms is they have to specialize in the network component of the supply chain suite, including all types, which is going to be your procurement centric network as well as your carrier centric networks. So if they specialize in all of those, then they will rank higher on this particular list. There are many different networks available in the market. They all originated from very different perspective. So we are going to cover the history of all of these platforms as well as where they stand as of today and how they might help you. So the criteria that we use for this particular list is the product share, the acquisition strategy focused on the business networks, product roadmap, community, ecosystem, technology strategies, the investors. All of these factors collectively define whether a particular platform is going to rank higher or lower on this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Pagero. And if you look at Pagero, the way this platform is, it has very similar positioning as your OpenText. And if you don't know the background of Pagero or OpenText, they were known primarily for the physical document exchange. So let's say if you have SAP and you are looking for the physical invoice exchange or physical bill of material exchange, in those spaces, the Pagero or OpenText made sense. Now, because of these capabilities, they had very strong network, and now they are using that network to be able to enable all of your control tower capabilities or any of the supply chain visibility capabilities just because they had this network. But overall, if you look at their network, that is going to be limited to very specific business processes. For example, let's say they are going to be really strong in the carrier side of the processes because they were primarily focused on those processes traditionally, but they are not going to be as strong with the other ones. So it's a very unique network. Sometimes that will be relevant more from the supply chain perspective, sometimes they might not be. So the pros for Pagero right now, if you're looking for those e-invoicing capabilities or ESG capabilities, where you require a lot more physical documents that you need to exchange with the governments, and you don't want to use technologies such as EDI or any other technologies Here, the experience could be plug and play, where let's say if you want to trade with any specific vendors, then you simply need to find that vendor and you need to onboard them from their perspective. Also, it's going to be a very simple process. So the collaboration makes it really easy. But this collaboration is not necessarily meant for engineering centric collaboration. Some of the other networks on this list are going to have those capabilities, but for the most part, this particular collaboration is more for those transactional documents, especially from the e-invoicing perspective or from the bill of lading perspective. That's where Pagero is really strong. The other strengths from the Pagero perspective is going to be the streamlined connecting with the trading partners. So these trading partners could be suppliers or it could be the carriers, and the robust e-invoicing compliance capabilities is going to be part of Pagero. Now, the cons with Pagero is limited to document exchange. So it does not have other capabilities that you are going to notice with several other solutions on this list, and lacks the suite capabilities. For example, let's say if you compare this with E2 Open, which is going to have your planning capabilities, the execution capabilities, as well as the network. So here, the only thing you are going to find is the document exchange as well as network. So it's not a real supply chain suite, and it's not necessarily a true supply chain network, even though they have a very strong network of trading partners, but it's not a true supply chain network. So that's going to be a limitation for Pagero, but that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is Tessie Square. And Tessie Square was primarily predominant in SAP ecosystem. So they had very similar positioning as your open text, but the perspective that Tessie Square took is more from the engineering collaboration or the supply collaboration compared to just the carrier collaboration. So that's where Tessie Square is far more relevant for manufacturing engineering centric value chains, particularly in the European market, and the geo matters a lot as well. So Tessie Square was predominant in European market. Even as of today, their network is very strong in the European market. So they might not have as much data, as much network for the other geos. If you're looking for slightly more global capabilities or capabilities in your region where they might not be as strong. So the pros for Tessie Square is a strong SAP integration because that's where they started. They were SAP partners. They might be SAP partner as of today. So they are going to have far tighter alignment with SAP technologies. But anything outside of that, you might struggle with Tessie Square solution. Specialized in sending drawings to suppliers. Again, these are very unique capabilities. They were available only in manufacturing centric solutions. So for example, let's say if you look at solutions such as your Plex, or you are going to look at QAD, or you are going to look at IQMS, all of those solutions had these capabilities, but they did not have their own networks. So now in this particular case, you are looking at the capabilities that you can not only share these things with the suppliers that you have as part of your network, but you can recruit more suppliers from their network. So that's a huge plus. And then they are going to have control tower capabilities as well, but the control tower might be limited to suppliers in their network, which is a very small footprint compared to the other solutions on this list. Now, the cons with Tessie Square is limited to European market, small network size, and limited suite capabilities. The suite is not as comprehensive as some of the other solutions. So that's number 9. Now, number 8 on our list is Alamica. And the way Alamica started, they started as more of the multi-carrier shipping add-on. So because of that, they are going to have very strong carrier network, and that carrier network is driving the capabilities that they have as of today. They were always very strong in the process manufacturing capabilities, and the only other network that is going to be really strong in the process manufacturing capabilities is probably going to be IQMS, maybe QAD. They might have those capabilities as well, but for the most part, these solutions don't have their own proprietary network. They are going to rely on you, and that's where Alamica really shines because they are going to have slightly more carrier-centric network. They are going to have shipping add-on to be able to communicate with those trading partners. So the pros for Alamica is SME-friendly platform. The network footprint is not going to be as much, but it is also not going to be as expensive, which is friendly for SMBs. Now connects with the carriers, including rate shopping and all of those capabilities that you would expect as part of your multi-carrier add-ons. They are going to be there as part of this platform. The industry-specific capabilities, especially for process manufacturing, the chemical-centric industries, for those industries, it is going to be a great fit. The cons for Elamica is not a true supply chain network, even though it has some footprint for the specific process or for the specific industries. But you look at control tower capabilities or the end-to-end capabilities from all of the modes perspective, it's not necessarily a true supply chain network. Now, limited capabilities beyond document exchange. So document exchange is great. The multi-carrier shipping add-on capabilities are great, but these capabilities are going to be extremely limited in general, especially if you're looking for end-to-end supply chain traceability and network that is going to represent pretty much all the suppliers, trading partners that you require. In those scenarios, Elamica is not necessarily a great fit. So that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is True Commerce. And True Commerce is probably going to have very similar footprint as your Elamica. But in the case of True Commerce, they started as more of the EDI network. So they were not the multi-carrier shipping add-on. So EDI is going to be more from the supplier perspective. They were doing a lot more work there. So they are going to have far deeper capabilities. For example, when you look at industries such as automotive, where the supplier collaboration is going to be very handy, especially in the joint forecasting scenarios where you need to do joint planning of your supply chain processes. So True Commerce, again, when you look at the pros of that, so it's going to have easy connectivity with trading partners. It's going to be SMB friendly platforms because it's not going to have as expensive price tag. The limitations that you are looking at from the True Commerce perspective is not a true supply chain network. Limited to automotive visibility. So if you are going to require a network that is going to combine many different business models, etc., so it's not going to be as comprehensive, as robust. Limited insights and network size. The network size is going to be extremely limited as well. So that's a huge con for True Commerce. So that's number 7. Now, number 6 on our list is OpenText. So OpenText is very similar solution as Pagero, as I pointed out. So OpenText is still very relevant when you look at document exchange, enterprise content planning, as well as enterprise content scenarios. So that's why they have very strong networks as well, because the content exchange was with every single trading partners. So they have all of those as part of their network, but their network is going to be very limited because they were doing just one process, not everything. So, and by the way, I mean, this is probably not going to be a supply chain network as well, because again, it's a very unique network, even though they are going to have a lot of providers in their network, but it's not necessarily a supply chain network the way some of the other solutions are going to have. So the pros for OpenText is best of breed content management. So if you're looking for that physical content management capabilities, that is going to be any sort of invoices, or if you require the content management capabilities for your regulatory compliance or compliance filing, that's where your OpenText is going to be very handy, especially for risk centric organizations. They tend to have a lot more documentation requirement. For example, let's say if you look at insurance, financial services, that's where OpenText is really strong. The business network for collaboration among these trading partners, in those verticals, you are going to have far more document exchanges, and that's where OpenText really shines. And for global compliance scenarios, OpenText is going to be really, really handy. The cons that you are going to look for, the limitations that you are going to run into with OpenText is not a true supply chain visibility platform, even though they are able to claim that they are a supply chain platform because they have a lot of suppliers as part of their network. But again, it is not designed to be a true supply chain visibility platform, not SMB friendly, it's going to be expensive. So that's number 6. Now, number 5 on our list is Connexus or MPO. Connexus, when you look at the product, it's a true supply chain network. They were more of the SNOP solution and they acquired MPO. So now they have the network as part of their suite as well. So Connexus is going to have very similar positioning in the market as your InfoNexus or your E2 Open. E2 Open is going to have far more execution capabilities. Connexus is not going to have execution capabilities at all. They specialize in SNOP and network, and they are going to be relevant in industries where the execution component does not need to be part of your supply chain suite or cannot be part of your supply chain suite, because you would require far more alignment from the inventory perspective with your ERP processes, such as your unit costing, MRP, all of those workloads, when you are going to have that, the supply chain suite is going to be very different, and that's where your Connexus really shines. So with Connexus, the advantage that you are going to get is when you look for the end-to-end traceability in your network, whether you are looking for your own suppliers or external suppliers, Connexus is going to be a great network. The pros for Connexus MPO is the integrated network with planning solutions. So when you require the collaboration with your planning workloads, that's where your Connexus is going to be friendly. But if this collaboration also need to overlap with your execution centric capabilities, that's where Connexus may not be the best bet. The other pros for Connexus is the complementary capabilities for SAP and Oracle customers, the decision grade intelligence, that is going to be another plus. The cons with Connexus is weak execution component, network strength compared to competitors, as well as not suitable for retail centric verticals because they are going to have very different expectations for the supply chain planning. The way their retail planning works is very different compared to your manufacturing. So those are going to be some of the weaknesses of Connexus network. So that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is One Network Enterprises. And the way One Network Enterprises is, it's really designed for industry-wide collaboration and control tower capabilities. A lot of network on this list are going to claim that they all have the industry-wide collaboration tracking capabilities. But when you look at those multi-party bomb tracking, they require very unique capabilities, and that's where One Network Enterprise shines. The pros are going to be their network is great. They have roughly what 75 companies in their partner network supplying all of this data, especially from the ELD perspective, from the telematics enabled control tower capabilities. But the number of companies that the other solutions are going to have are going to be far more. So their network footprint is not as much as some of the other solutions in the market, but it is great for when you are looking for the end-to-end industry-wide supply chain visibility capabilities. Now, the cons for One Network Enterprises is it's not SMB friendly. It's a very enterprise-centric platform, weak planning and execution capabilities. So the planning and execution capabilities are not going to be as rich as some of the other solutions because they are going to have far stronger network. And because of that, their AI and ML workflows are going to be far richer and limited network compared to E2 open. So the network size is not as strong. So that's number 4. Now, number 3 on our list is Supply On. So this is a very interesting network because they are primarily focused in procurement and supplier collaboration centric network. So they are not going to have as much carrier data. They are probably going to rely on the other platforms, or if the other platforms are buying these data sets, then they are going to buy the procurement and supplier collaboration data from Supply On, and they have to buy the carrier data most likely from Project 44 or 4Kites. And Supply On is focused on the European market, so it does not cover as broadly as other market segments. If you are going to be a global company requiring capabilities across the globe, that's when Supply On may not be the best fit. The pros with Supply On is that they have a lot more companies compared to your One Network Enterprises. So their network footprint is far stronger compared to One Network, but then it's not going to be as comprehensive as your E2 Open or the other companies. And the focus on is going to be on the procurement network as well as e-invoicing, similar to your open text, etc. That's where their focus is. The cons for Supply On is going to be that they are not SMB friendly again. They are going to be slightly more expensive. They are going to be weak in planning and execution capabilities, not as comprehensive as other platforms. So that is going to be another limitation. So that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is InfoNexus. InfoNexus serves as a visibility platform. So their network is going to be limited to the procurement workloads or the supplier collaboration. So they are going to rely on the other platforms for the carrier data. They don't have their own carrier data. So overall, from the modes perspective, it's going to be limited. Plus, the network size is going to be limited as well. But InfoNexus is going to shine when you are looking for slightly more embedded capabilities with manufacturing, the engineering collaboration. That's where InfoNexus really shines. So the pros for InfoNexus is that it is integrated with other Infor solutions where you are going to require far tighter embeddedness with your ERP workflows or with your HCM workflows. In those scenarios, Infor Nexus could be a great fit. The planning integrated with a network. So this is a network plus the planning workload is going to be there. So it has very similar positioning as your Connexus, but in this particular case, you have far tighter integration with the other tools as part of the suite as well. With Connexus, you are going to require that integration, and sometimes that could be a challenge, if especially if you require tighter integration of these processes. The collaboration and orchestration with global suppliers. So Info Nexus is a very global solution in general, especially if you are going to be in those automotive, aerospace centric verticals. That's where Info Nexus really shines. The limitations with Info Nexus is that the execution component is really lean, so it's not necessarily relevant for the industries where execution component need to tightly collaborate with your planning. For example, let's say if you look at Blue Yonder or Manhattan, they do really well in the retail centric verticals, but they might not be as great fit for the manufacturing centric verticals. So that's where Info Nexus really shines. Not assembly friendly and limited ecosystem. So Info Nexus is going to be relevant for the lower mid market, slightly more upper mid market, but that's it. For the stronger planning, it might not be the best fit. So that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is E2 Open, which is the most comprehensive network overall in terms of the number of different nodes that are supported as part of the platform, the kind of capabilities they have as part of the suite. So if you're looking for very enterprise global capabilities, and then you require this network to be part of the suite, that's where E2 Open really shines. And this is where they are going to get the decision grade intelligence that you are not going to find with the other solutions. So the other pros for E2 Open is going to be execution in networks adopted by large enterprises, and the UI is going to be cloud native. So sometimes that helps with the supplier onboarding, especially if you are trying to bring your own suppliers and you are facing resistance in getting them. So the UI is going to be relevant compared to other solutions that are not going to have as great UI. E2 Open is very modern, very new, so that's a huge plus for E2 Open. Now, the limitations that you're going to notice with E2 Open is it is expensive, not assembly friendly, and enterprise business rules may be overwhelming for smaller businesses. So those are some of the limitations. So that's number 1. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, we are also going to link the detailed article as part of this video, so you might want to check that. This podcast is also available in the audio form on Apple, Spotify, and Google, so you might want to check there and subscribe. We publish these videos on a weekly basis on YouTube, so we encourage you to subscribe our YouTube channel if you don't want to miss these videos. Also, if you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2024, we are going to link that up as well. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.